Now, let's have a look at this. Some theatrics from fired State Department employees. The Trump administration has reduced the workforce there by around 1,300, a relatively small drop in the number of workers, and yet the media, Kosha, seem to give every sacked worker a microphone. Just earlier this month, Microsoft sacked 9,000 employees. I don't recall the media giving those people this sort of coverage. Why are these public servants being treated like this is something that never happened, someone actually being sacked?
So theatrical, as you say, and these probably were theater kids, a lot of them, who then go off and work in government. And there's this whole narrative. It really is about the theater, the big bad government and the Trump administration and the poor little honest worker trying to work for America. And they're trying to create this narrative around it. But the numbers, as you say, it's not even half a percentage of the total number of federal government employees, which is something like 2.8 million.
Exactly.
We're going to be lucky if we even get to single digits in firings, because they've been obstructed every step of the way from judicial activism and all the rest of it. Everybody knows the government is too big. Microsoft, great example, white collar. You could even go blue collar. And when coal miners were shut down or small businesses went out of business because of the COVID restrictions and everything else, they never shed a tear for those folks. But here suddenly it's tears and microphones in the streets.
And it's a threat to democracy. Like, everything is a threat to democracy for the left. Now, President Trump has suggested today that First Lady Melania has helped him with Russian President Vladimir Putin, helped remind him that Putin has continually backed out of his promise over a possible peace deal with Ukraine. Kosha, the president, explained that Melania pointed out Putin's false promises, where he's made certain assurances in these phone calls and then he goes and bombs another Ukrainian site.
I think the Melania reveal was interesting, just as a side note, because she's such an enigma. She's very famously private. And
she is an enigma, isn't she?
Is.
It's part of her charm.
It really is. And so getting these little glimpses of their dinner table conversation about Vladimir Putin was interesting. On the topic itself, I think it just reveals, Trump really is a consummate pragmatist, realist deal maker. It's not that he's a puppet of Putin, as he's been called, or that he even hates Zelensky. He certainly is not fond of Zelensky. And going into this, I think he was probably more favorably inclined to Putin. But as this drags on, as Putin also continues to strike, his own soldiers are dying, Russian soldiers, so many, hundreds of thousands of them, in addition to, of course, civilians and Ukrainians. He's not happy with it, Trump. This is sort of a distraction for him, I think, from what he wanted to do with the domestic agenda. And he's one of the only people in the world who can maybe move the needle here in some way. And I think he's just expressing that frustration.
Well, this is really a blight on his second term, isn't it? He's got so much of what he wanted to do done so quickly, from the border to fantastic economic news domestically. He's getting his tariffs in place and getting the revenue there. But he promised to do something about this war and do it quickly, and so far he's failed to deliver on that.
Yeah, the famous line that I can solve this in 24 hours. Now, that was just rhetoric on the campaign stump, and not everything is in control. But yes, it has dragged on longer than we all would like, and probably longer than he thought.
Absolutely. Now, the New York Times has asked an important question of its readers. It's asking, is it time to stop snubbing your right-wing family? I mean, really, what a broken publication with an even more broken readership, it seems. I don't know, Kosha. I think I'd rather be snubbed by these people. We've got enough crazy in our lives, and life is too short, I think. I mean, what a bizarre thing to be saying, but I think it reflects their readership, because so many of them can't cope with friends, family, work colleagues who may think differently from them.
That's so true, and such a childish tactic to snub somebody, not like, I'm going to influence you, or maybe let's just agree to disagree, but I'm going to snub you. And I looked into the author, David Litt. He's one of the former senior speechwriters for Obama.
Of course.
So I was rather surprised when I saw the level of depth or lack thereof in his analysis. And the funny thing, too, is so the tactic snubbing is childish, but also the issue that he really focused in on were the COVID vaccine mandates, which is not the hill to die on, because that has totally changed. It's not even a left or right thing. So many people view that very, very skeptically after everything that we were put through. And he was basically going after his sister's younger brother, who decided not to take the vaccine. And he used that as the central motif in his article about why you should snub your right-wing family member who maybe didn't want to take the vax.
I know, it is such a bizarre hill to die on. I still think it is a political issue. I think the hard left are still clinging on to those mandates as the right thing to do, even with everything we've learned since then. But wow, yeah, you forget about that. You forget about family members not being invited to Christmas dinners because of the COVID vaccine mandates. Incredible time. Kosha Gada, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.